Hello, welcome to another episode of CareerWise, where this week we are talking to Prince, who is he's working in corporate finance. He is undertaking a graduate scheme with a very large multinational company. Prince will do a better job of introducing himself. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, Prince, and welcome.
Hi there, thanks, Neil. Hi there, my name is Prince. I'm based in South London, 25 years of age. And like Neil said, I'm working for a multinational company based in the engineering and consulting industry. And I've been there almost coming up to 3 years now. So yeah, I've worked in studies finance, and I have a good amount of experiences across finance, whether accounting, and whether it's corporate finance, commercial finance.
That's great. That's perfect. And I think what you mentioned there about what you've experienced in, just in only 3 years, that's going to be interesting to talk about later to get into that, because you have gained a lot of experience in a very short space of time,
Yeah.
which is not everyone gets the opportunity to. But so, how did you get into a career in accounting and finance? What was the motivation? How did it come about?
Yeah, so great questions. I think first of all, it started from when I was sort of my early teenage years. So my dad used to watch a lot of the financial news. So he used to pay attention to sort of financial news about what's going on in America, the sort of the big tech companies, the big Googles, the Amazons, the Facebooks. And I always wondered how these companies make money with their own business operation. What influences the sort of decision making, how they tend to sort of see things in forward looking wise as a business, for example. So that was a part where that got me interested into knowing what, finances and how these things influence businesses when it comes to decision making. And so that then drive me to start study business
Wow.
in college, or sixth form rather. And in sixth form, I'd done a bit of accounting module, I would say. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Sort of knowing about balance sheets, assets, liabilities, all these sort of things. That's sort of my introduction to sort of accounting, finance, and how these things are important. Who wants to know why these informations are very, very imperative to decision making, for example,
Mm.
and why accountants are very sort of that job roles in terms of like what they bring to the company and how they help shape the company's decision making when it comes to finances as a whole.
Yeah.
So that's where it sort of sparks that interest of going into finance, and then obviously then branching out to accounting.
That's nice. So it's nice to hear people actually getting a spark, actually sort of
Yeah,
see those dots being joined through business and finance and accounting. It starts to all kind of make sense. You can see a definite path. You start to sort of see what ignites a bit of passion, I guess, or a bit of interest, and that's really good. And how did you how did you get into corporate finance specifically? Was that part of that spark?
once I got into university, so I guess that's when I started to see much more of accounting. Accounting wasn't just counting,
Yeah,
I guess bookkeeping rather. It was more
yeah,
to it than just bookkeeping your transactions and your costs and all that sort of thing. That's just one side of accounting. Well, that's just one small part of it. But
mm,
there's more that goes into accounting, because sometimes you're looking at your budgets against your forecasts. You're looking at, and
mm,
obviously based on the company's strategic goals and visions that they've got, how does that then affect with what the finances look like for the company? Are they looking forward in terms of investing, for example? So recently, AI is a big thing now. The companies are still going to start investing in, tech stuff, big investments, or make partnerships with other companies. How does these strategic goals then starts to sort of influence how finances would then be implemented into these sort of action that companies got for
yeah,
the day-to-day operation, investment into sort of IT, tech, and all these things. So when you start looking into finances and how these influence many part of the business, you start to realize that it's just more than bookkeeping. So that's the part that got me into corporate finance. But then I didn't really know much about, because obviously you heard corporate finance from university based on your lecturers and people that when you go to like sort of like induction days, or like companies will come to university to sort of give
yeah,
speech about what they do. You hear a lot about corporate finance. But yeah, I didn't really understand more of corporate finance until I started working, started knowing more. Like there's corporate side, there's commercial finance. There's all these things have their own like variety of things that involve in what kind of day-to-day activities and reports you're running, metrics you're using to check and see if companies are hitting targets, are hitting goals, financial goals that needs to be met, and what's the discrepancies with reports and numbers, and how we can mitigate and overcome these sort of things. So,
yeah.
yeah, corporate finance is more broad than a lot of people tend to sort of look at it as just, oh, you work in corporate finance. More as that goes into it rather than just a title.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought, to be honest with you. Like, because corporate finance to me does seem broad, like it would be in a, in a very good way. Because if you
Yeah,
a corporation is big, and then
yeah,
corporations
exactly.
are often multinational.
Yeah,
They are
yeah,
by nature going to be broad. This is maybe a good place to go on to. Your graduate scheme has taken you. You've done, yeah. You can talk about this better, but you've gone through quite a few different areas of the company already, and the company wants you to see all these different areas, doesn't it?
of course,
And
definitely.
yeah, I guess talk about that. So you got in a graduate scheme at Mott MacDonald, and what was your first? I guess your first area that you worked in.
Yeah. So when I initially started, is a 3-year graduate program.
Right.
And so I started working in a sort of like a regional finance team. So we have different regions in the company. We have got our Europe region, we've got our Australia, we've got Middle East, and we've got Asia.
Yeah.
Since our company is a it's a global company, but
Yeah.
obviously the main headquarters is in the UK, London. So the UNO region, which is called UNO, but it's the Europe region, Europe and Africa region, is quite a big part of the business
Mm.
in terms of, what the business gets up to, the operations and projects. It's quite a big part of the business. So I started off working in the Europe team, assisting my divisional managers and liaising with the commercial finance team as well, because
Okay.
obviously we're overseeing the operations of the Europe and Africa finance in terms of like the commercial side of things, where the big projects are going on, whether it's governmental contracts, whether it's international contracts that we're involved in, whether it's engineering consultancy. So I started as a regional assistant, so overseeing the day-to-day costs, helping with preparing balance sheets, reconciliations,
Mm.
liaising with my managers to sort of oversee our budgets and our forecasts for the commercial business parts of the units, to oversee how things are going in terms of revenue. Is it in line with our budgets? And then overheads as well. Are they in line with budgets? If there's not, then we need to start asking questions and figuring out what's actually going on in that part of the business. So
Yeah. And so what areas will you by the end of your the scheme? What will you have had
yeah.
experience in?
So by the end of the scheme, the goal for them is to sort of for me to have a strong experience in the corporate side and the
Yeah.
commercial side. Now, if you break down the corporate side, there's the
Yeah.
management corporate and there's a sort of like a financial accounting corporate. Now, financial accounting is more the reporting side of things. So
Right.
that's more the intent of looking at the whole company as a group rather than just the UK side or the regional side. So, and then the other part is the management side. So you've got that's where I initially started off, and that's currently where I am at now. But I'm taking more ownership or lead of a specific division of the business unit and overseeing costs, budgets, and all these sort of things, and overseeing costs that are coming through our projects and our divisions, and liaising with our divisional controllers to make sure all these things are in line with what we're expecting, and yeah, many other things. So by the end of the 3 years, I should have sort of a strong or good understanding in the
Mm.
management accounting, financial accounting, both on the corporate side and the commercial side. Someone might work as a management accountant, but they might work that in the commercial side. So we've got the commercial side of management and we've got the corporate side of management accounting. So there's a bit of a difference in what those sort of roles have in your own day to day as well.
And have you find as you've gone through this, are you finding are you starting to see what you really like, all the areas that
Yeah,
really appeal
yeah,
to
yeah.
you? Yeah. What might they be?
Yeah, yeah. So, for example, I think it all depends on the person's personality trait. So they have like a 2-day work experience where they'll come into the business, watch us what we do on a day-to-day basis and what we get up to, and you can sort of get an idea of what we do. So usually when people ask me a question, I will ask them, what would you say your personality type is? Are you an introvert person? Are you an extrovert person? Do you like team working, or you're more of an independent person who works?
Yeah.
So all these questions, when I ask people this question, I'm trying to figure out what route or I guess accounting would make sense for them in terms of career wise.
Yeah.
Overall, I've tended to sort of gravitated towards the management side of things.
Okay.
Um, and obviously, and that's even speaks for itself based on the feedback I've gotten from the managers that are reporting to at the time of me working there.
Yeah.
So it was a feedback and a bit of my performance that I reviewed as well. And obviously, I realized that I enjoyed the project accounting side of things, because that's the part where that's the commercial side of finance, where you're dealing with your project managers, your project principals, you're speaking to most people across the business in terms of making sure each of the projects that you're overseeing, in terms of they bring them revenue, the workload that is upcoming is promising, it's in writing, contractual terms and all these things are all in place. So there's more to it than sort of like just, I guess, overseeing the project. So
Yeah,
that's the side where I think I enjoyed more. And it also fit my personality, so like working with people. I would describe myself as an extrovert person, sort of like engaging with people, speaking to different people, and building that relationship can
yeah,
definitely be something that yeah, I really enjoyed. Obviously, I wouldn't take anything from financial accounting. That when I worked there for a year and a bit, I
yeah.
enjoyed my time over there as well. But I
Of
think
course.
I'm leaning more to the management side.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that. There's the notion of there being the personality trait, and to think about that, because I don't.
Yeah,
That's not something that maybe would come to mind at first. But that's quite an important. That's an important aspect. You also mentioned wanted to bring this back as well. Talk about ACCA a little bit. How useful are you finding the qualification at work, day to day? I mean, are you sort of learn? Have you
yeah.
learned something and you can plug it straight into to the job?
So yeah, with ACC it's quite a good integration in terms of, especially if you haven't, for example, let's say if you didn't study accounting or finance, or you didn't go to like university to do like a 3 year course, or you have no understanding of finance. ACC is really sort of helps you from the applied knowledge to applied skills to a strategic level.
Mm,
It gives you a whole like a journey of what accountants needs to know about accounting standards, how different rules applies in different countries. So it does many things that ACC definitely sort of develops your technical knowledge and understanding of,
mm,
especially with ACCA when you're working in financial accounting. I've seen that there's a lot of things that what I've learned based in university and obviously what I've learned in ACCA, they're
yeah,
really sort of practical in terms of my day to day activities and how you treat certain costs and certain transactions, if you're recognizing them to your P&L or to your balance sheet, all these sort of things, you tend to
yeah,
see it being, like reiterated in ACC as your learning outcomes and things that they expect of you. You start to see a bit of it in your day to day work. And I'm remembering as well because I'm not going to remember everything that I studied from like 3 or 4 years ago.
yeah. Of course.
So it's definitely been like a big bonus with helping, keep sort of like keeping my head on swivel on things that I need to know.
Yeah, I think to sort of see it and be able to apply it, and yeah, to actually see, see what you've learned in the real world, which not everyone gets a chance to do sometimes. I mean, are you nearing the end of your grad scheme at the moment?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I guess
yeah, yeah.
what are your ambitions? What you excited about, and what do you want to do?
Okay, so I think the next target for me now is to become a full qualified ACC accountant, and then so yeah, that's the next step for me. Whilst I was finishing my 1 year rotation in my McDonald's,
Hmm.
so currently I'm back into corporate finance or management accounting, but now I'm more sort of taking up a senior ownership role of a division, so sort of
Okay.
like a part of the unit of the business.
Yeah.
So it's a corporate service for our Europe and Africa region that we oversee. So I've taken a part of the division and I'm overseeing in terms of our costs, our budgets, our forecasts, and sending reports to our senior managers in terms of monthly movements and things like that. Those are the things that I'm overseeing to take a more senior roleship because obviously they believe that now I've got like a full extensive experience of both financial accounting and management accounting. I can sort of take more senior role and take ownership of things that require much more, I guess, skills and in depth and things that when you see you already you can notice, and it's like second nature to you at that point. But yeah, the next target is to become sort of full qualified accountant.
Sounds like a lot of responsibility there fairly fast.
Yeah.
But like you said, if you've got the knowledge, you've got the recent education, so it's still fresh. They put you through your paces in 3 years. Why not? Don't you've got the momentum and the drive.
Mhm.
Go for it. It
Yeah.
sounds great. The very final question, and it's like, aimed at, like, what might your advice be to other people, other ACA students or grads?
Yeah, as I was saying, for university grads, I would recommend they get into the job market as soon as possible.
Yeah,
So once they get to like the last year in university, let's say the third year, they start looking for even if when you're in your second year and you can still secure like a placement role in these sort of big companies, I would highly recommend that because nowadays the experience does gets you through the door as well because a lot of people are acquiring their qualifications and certificates or uni degrees. So getting like experience, whether it's an internship or placement, that
Mm.
definitely helps your CV. So it's a bit like apprenticeship, whereas obviously apprenticeship, you're not going to university for 3 years, you're doing a mixture of both.
Yeah.
Um, Apprenticeship is good as well for people that are in sixth form that may be thinking, I don't think university might be the best route for me. Apprenticeship would be great for people
Yeah.
that already know that they want to get into accounting and finance, because that would literally save you a lot of time to go to university. If you already know finance is the
Yeah.
career you'll see yourself going forward in. But if you're
Yeah.
not too sure, then you can go to university, you can do accounting and finance, and then you can figure out many, many different job roles in terms of studying finance in university. Because obviously, when you study finance, you can sort of go in investment banking, you can go treasury, you can go accounting. So there's many, many different routes. But obviously, ideally, people would want to be sponsored by the company that they're working with, or if they can manage to get a job, they would like the route of getting sponsored.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
would highly recommend if people start the ACC as soon as possible, it
Yeah.
would help them even with their CV as well, because the companies can see you're already ahead of your peers.
Absolutely.
So it's all about getting experience as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And the sooner you get qualified, you can start, getting much more senior roles, making sort of much more impact in whatever you're doing. And even you can start even branching out to different part of finances. So you might not even think accounting will be for you the next 10 years. You can start doing something else.
Great advice. I think this was the best. Yeah, well put. Listen, that's all the things I wanted to ask you. I think a really interesting story you've
Yeah.
got, and I really appreciate you taking the
Yeah.
time to talk to us. It's much appreciated. And
No
lastly, I just want
worries.
to say good luck.
Yeah.
I hope that when the scheme finishes, you do get to move into what you want to do, and it goes well for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, good luck,
Yeah. Thanks for that.
and I'll just say thank you to everyone for watching, and thanks to you, Prince. It's much appreciated, and good luck with everything.
Thanks, Neil.
All right.
Thank you.